It's time for our reading corner, and this week we're learning all about folk tales. Did you know something about folk tales is that sometimes the number 3 appears? Just like in this book, The 3 Little Pigs. That might be a clue that the story you're reading is a folk tale if you see the number 3. So in this story, the 3 little pigs are trying to outsmart the big bad wolf. So let's read to see what they do when they're building their houses to protect themselves from that wolf. The 3 Little Pigs. Once upon a time, there were 3 little pigs, Pinky, Perky, and Percival, who lived by the edge of the forest. One day, they decided they were ready to go out into the world and build their own houses. I wonder what they'll make them out of. Percival was the most serious pig. I have heard that a big bad wolf lives in this forest, he warned the brothers, and I am going to build a house that is strong and safe. I don't want any wolf knocking down my door. Oh, don't be silly, said Pinky, playing his flute and dancing to a merry tune. Who's afraid of the big bad wolf anyway, said Perky, playing along on his fiddle. Pinky and Perky just wouldn't listen to Percival's warning. Lazy and foolish, too, they built the easiest houses they could think of. Pinky built a house out of straw, and Perky made his of sticks, and they finished in no time at all. Well, what do you think? Pinky asked Perky. Looks good to me, he answered without a second thought. If we go back one page, you can see here's a house made of sticks, and here's one made of straw, which is kind of like hay. Then Pinky took his flute, and Perky grabbed his fiddle, and off they went to play in the forest. Percival is so silly, snickered Perky. He keeps telling us not to play in the forest. Watch out for the big bad wolf, he says, but I don't see any old wolf. Do you? But no sooner had he spoken when the bushes rustled, the leaves shook, and the wolf jumped out right before them. Oh no, what will they do? Pinky reached his house without a moment to spare. The wolf was right behind him. Slamming the door shut, Pinky felt the whole house shake, and he began to shake too, quivering. Behind the door, he heard the gruff voice of the wolf calling to him, little pig, let me come in." "No," cried Pinky as firmly as he could, "not by the hair of my chinny chin chin." "Then I'll huff, and I'll puff, and I'll blow your house in," shouted the wolf. Pinky was too frightened to reply, but the wolf wasn't waiting for an answer. He took a deep breath. He huffed and he puffed and he blew the little straw house to pieces. 'Cause straw isn't very strong, is it? "It's the wolf," Pinky cried as he ran into Perky's house, slamming the door behind him. Little pig, let me come in," the wolf called impatiently. "Not by the hair of my chinny chin chin," the brothers shouted back together. "Then I'll huff, and I'll puff, and I'll blow your house in." What do you think is going to happen to the stick house? Oh no. Taking a deep breath, the wolf huffed and he puffed and he blew the little stick house to bits. Look at all those sticks go. Percival was amazed to see his brothers speeding toward his house. Let us come in, they shouted, terrified. The 2 little pigs were so out of breath they could hardly speak. "The wolf's coming, and he wants us for lunch," Perky squealed. "Quick, get inside," Percival exclaimed. Pinky and Perky rushed into the house. Hiding under the bed, they peeked out only to see Percival calmly blocking the door with a big piece of wood. It seems like his hard work is paying off because he built a different kind of house. Let's see what happens. Little pig, let me come in," the wolf called. "Not by the hair of my chinny chin chin," Percival answered proudly. "Then I'll huff, and I'll puff, and I'll blow your house in," he growled. So he huffed, and he puffed, and he huffed, and he puffed, but he could not blow that house in. However, the stubborn and angry wolf did not give up. He jumped onto the roof and began to climb down the chimney. That doesn't seem very smart, does it? "I'll have my dinner yet," he said to himself gleefully. But the wolf didn't know what Percival had done. The smart little pig had put a huge pot of water in the fireplace and then built a big fire. What do you think's gonna happen? Oh my goodness! Down the chimney the wolf slid right into the kettle of water just as it began to boil furiously. "Yee-ow!" he screamed when his tail hit the water. For a moment, the three little pigs didn't know whether to be frightened or glad. They had tricked the wolf and they were safe. Pinky and Perky were astonished, but Percival wasn't at all surprised. He knew he wasn't going to let that wolf get him ever. While the three happy pigs were celebrating their victory, the terrified wolf had sprung up the chimney, scrambled off the roof, and had run far, far into the woods, away from those three smart little pigs, or maybe really one smart pig. The wolf had certainly learned his lesson. With his tail on fire and his eyes tearing, he swore he would never chase after little pigs again, especially those living in brick houses. The end. And that's the thing about folk tales. Usually they have a happy ending. So if you get a little nervous when you're reading, don't worry. Most folk tales will have a nice ending where the characters don't get hurt. Today, I want to show you how you can retell the story of the three little pigs. I'm going to show you how you can build your own straw, stick, and brick house and then pretend to act out the wolf huffing and puffing. Let me show you what to do. In order to retell the story, you're going to want to find some things around your house. Ask a grown-up to help you find maybe some popsicle sticks or toothpicks, some straws that you can cut up into smaller pieces, some paper, and then also you're going to need some red paper that you can cut into little rectangles for your bricks. To glue everything down, you want to make sure you have your glue or a glue stick. So I started by drawing a house, and it doesn't matter what size the house is, and I have one already here ready for some glue. So we're going to start with the straw house. So I'm going to glue these straws on. We know that this house wasn't the strongest house, and we know that the little pig in this house ran over to his brother's house, didn't he? Glue some like this, and then this one I'm gonna cut it a little smaller. Let's see, just like that. Okay, so I have my straw house all finished. Let's go on. Let me show you how I draw the house. It's like a rectangle and a triangle. So here's the triangle and here's the rectangle. You can ask a grown-up to help you, or you can try to do that. So let's do the stick house next. So I'm going to put some of my glue down here. Okay, and then you're just going to take your toothpicks and you're going to line them up. Now these toothpicks are wooden, like sticks would be wooden from a tree. Glue those on. And we know that the first little piggy ran to the second piggy's house, which might have been a little bit stronger, but it wasn't strong enough to keep the wolf out. Let's do a little bit more. You can have fun designing your houses, even if the wolf is gonna blow them in. Okay, so I think that one's looking pretty good. I might put one here like that. Maybe not, squish them together. Okay, so there's my first house and my second house. And lastly, the strongest house of them all is the brick house. So I'm actually gonna use a glue stick for this one because with paper, it's really much easier to use a glue stick instead of that liquid glue. So a little trick is you can put a little bit of glue on at a time, like that, and then we're gonna lay our little red rectangles in a brick pattern, like this. Maybe they'll go off out of our little house a little bit, and that's okay, because we want them to be like bricks. Just like that. And you can even cut some shorter Oh, need more glue. Let's go all the way to the top. Oh, I'm gonna use a different one. There we go. This is gonna be a sturdy house. No wolf is getting in here. All right, now we have our 3 houses. Let me show you how to pretend that you're the wolf blowing them down. Well, now we have our little houses ready and we can retell the story, whoops, of the 3 little pigs. You might want to wait till they dry completely to start, but I'm going to show you. That's how weak the straws are. They just fall right off. So we can say, then the wolf huffed and puffed and blew the house in. Bye-bye, straw house. Let's do the next one. Are you ready to be the wolf with me? Let's huff and puff. Ready? The wolf huffed and puffed and blew the stick house in. Off it goes. Now here's our really, really strong and sturdy house, the brick house. It's not gonna go anywhere. It's really secure. Ready? The wolf huffed and puffed and blew the house in. Hey, what happened? Let's do it again. Huffed and puffed and blew the house in. That house is not going anywhere. Great job. You can have fun retelling that with your family or your friends too. I hope you liked learning about the folktale, The 3 Little Pigs, and that you learned that some folktales have the number 3 in them, and that most folktales will have a happy ending. Thanks for joining me today, and I'll see you next time.